So, Mr. Speaker, thanks for being with us here on the Hill.
Happy to be with you.
Appreciate the time. So, you say that you could go after the funding sources out of these universities if they don't essentially get their act together quickly. So let's tick through some of the things that Congress could do. Maybe tax the endowments, pull federal funding for grants, maybe go after student loans. What is realistically right now on the table for Congress as you see it?
Well, we have deputized our committees of jurisdiction. There's a number of committees that touch on some element of this. It's not just the House Education and Workforce Committee, but it's also Judiciary, it's Ways and Means, it's the Energy and Commerce Committee, it's Science, Space, and Technology. Some of the committees have jurisdiction over the grants that are given to these universities. They collect billions of dollars, billions of dollars. There's a lot of federal funding that makes its way into these institutions, and if they cannot respect the most basic constitutional rights, the civil rights of their students, and protect them, their safety, then they don't deserve to be funded by the taxpayers.
What about the endowments?
Well, that's a big
These are
too.
tens and tens and tens of billions of dollars.
Yeah, there's a lot of discussion about whether they should be taxed. They also get very generous tax benefits as they're operate as nonprofits. All that is on the table. There'll be a lot of discussion, investigation. We have to do what we must to stamp this out. This anti-Semitism movement is dangerous. This is not constitutionally protected free speech. I was a constitutional law attorney. I ironically used to litigate campus free speech cases, okay? This is far over the line. This is inciting violence. They are physically threatening fellow students, closing campuses down, occupying buildings, destroying property. These are common criminals, and they need to be treated as such.
The White House has condemned this. We have heard from the press secretary, we have heard from statements from the White House, but we haven't heard from President Biden himself since April 22nd in basically a 10-second or so moment on camera. Why do you think the president has been close to silent on this issue, at least in front, as it relates to getting in front of the camera, making a statement, and just sort of laying out where he stands?
The silence is deafening. The president needs to speak with moral clarity in this fateful moment of our country. We're doing that. I'm doing that as the House Speaker. My colleagues in the House are doing that. But Chuck Schumer has been pretty silent on this, and President Biden noticeably.
Why do you think?
Well, I have some theories about that. I think they assess this to be a real political problem for them. There is a growing, not just pro-Palestinian, but now pro-Hamas wing in the Democratic Party. And they're going to have a problem. I think that they assess that they will lose the state of Michigan and possibly Nevada and others because of the conflict in their own party. But this is no time for politics. It's no time for equivocation. This is not a gray area. This is right and wrong. And the President of the United States should speak to that and say it that clearly.
You mentioned Hamas. We have heard some, of course, not all of the protesters, but we have heard some celebrate Hamas. Of course, Hamas is a foreign terrorist organization. We saw the Intifada flag that was flown at that university building at Columbia University. Should the FBI step in and investigate here? I
think it's a dangerous situation. Hamas openly endorsed the protest at Columbia University. They literally did that an hour before we spoke there last Wednesday. We had a press event, and I met with the president of the university, President Shafiq, in her own conference room, and I told her with my colleagues, four of my colleagues from the House, she needed to resign if she could not get control of the situation. What's happened at the campus, the escalation, the violence, the necessity of the NYPD coming in to break it all up, never had to happen. We need administrators to step up, university officials to step up and do their job. The most basic function that they have is the safety and security of their students.
Too far at this point for the FBI to look into this, or not necessarily?
No, I wouldn't say. I think the FBI needs to be all over this. I think they need to look at the root causes and find out if some of this was funded by, I don't know, George Soros or overseas entities. There's a sort of a common theme and a common strategy that seems to be pursued on many of these campuses. I noticed myself, and many of us did, while we were on site at Columbia University, the tents at their little encampment there, many of them matched. They were same color, make, and model. Did somebody purchase that and send it in? It looks pretty orchestrated to me.
CBS is reporting, speaking of the war between Israel and Hamas, they're reporting that the Biden administration is looking into offering permanent safe havens in the U.S. to Palestinian refugees who have immediate family members who are citizens or are permanent residents. If that's, I already see you shaking your head. So you would not support that, I take it.
Listen, there are safe third third parties, safe countries where they can seek haven in the Middle East. We have a problem right now in our country with the wide open border. That's the #1 issue in America. Most Americans are deeply concerned about it because we've imported dangerous persons. We know that there are known terrorists who have been apprehended at the southern border, over 340 of them on the terrorism watch list. But the scary thing is we don't know how many of them came in completely undetected. That's a real problem. The FBI Director, Chris Wray, testified to Congress under oath a couple weeks ago that all the red lights are flashing. What they mean by that is we're in a very dangerous moment in America because the border's been wide open for 3 years and counting, and we don't need to be importing more persons who might be problematic.
Thank you for watching, and make sure you go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.